Is the Xiaomi Redmi 8A worth buying? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my Xiaomi Redmi 8A review. Now, I've been meaning to create this video for a while now because I've actually had this phone for several months. But you can actually pick up the device right now on Amazon for around $119. Now, I'm sure as time goes on, the price will continue to go down. So definitely take a look at the link in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing for the phone. Now, this device is GSM unlocked, so you can use it with any GSM carrier. I've been using it with Cricket Wireless, and it's been working really well. I'll do a demonstration of that a little bit later in the video. But this phone will work well with AT&T, T-Mobile, and any of the other various carriers under those carriers. Now with the phone, we're getting a 6.22-inch display. It is an LCD display, and it is 720p. We're getting a PPI of 271 and a 19:9 aspect ratio. So a pretty good design overall with the device. You can see up top here, we do have a water drop for the notch. And in that notch, we have an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. But since the device does have a 19:9 aspect ratio, it's kind of a more narrower but taller design here, which is very consistent with many other phones that I've covered on the channel very recently. And this phone actually reminds me a lot of the Nokia 2.3. Now, I've done a bunch of videos already about the Nokia 2.3, but definitely if you're considering this phone, take a look at that phone as well. But definitely a very large display here on the phone, which I'm a big fan of. Now with the device, we're getting 32 gigabytes of internal storage. And if that's not enough for you, you also get SD card expansion. Now there's no wireless charging with the Redmi 8A. There's also no fingerprint sensor on the back, which is a bit disappointing. So if you do want to unlock the phone, you do have to put in your regular PIN code, or if you want to, you can use Face Unlock, but there is no fingerprint sensor. So a bit disappointing, especially because I've used other devices in this price range that do offer fingerprint sensors. For example, the Umidigi A3X. I just did my hands-on video about a week ago, and that device is about the same price, but you do get a fingerprint sensor. Now on the back of the phone, we get a single camera, and it's a 12 megapixel camera. And despite it being just a single camera, we do actually get portrait mode with the phone, so that's really awesome. In fact, we get portrait mode with both the front and rear cameras, so I'm a big fan of that feature. And it just goes to show that you don't even need a dual camera setup to have portrait mode. Now internally, we're getting 2 gigabytes of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 439 processor. So 2 gigs of RAM isn't very impressive at all, and the 439 is not that great of a processor. Now I did run an Antutu benchmark test with the phone, and I got an overall score of 89512. So a little bit better than the score that I got with the Nokia 2.3. But I'm definitely thinking of doing a comparison between this phone and that phone because the two devices have so many similarities. But with this kind of score, expect to not have the best performance at all times when using the phone, especially compared to a flagship device, of course. But if you just want this phone to do basic tasks like doing phone calls, sending text messages, doing occasional social media, then this phone will work for you. But definitely if you're more of a power user like I am, then you're going to run into some issues considering that this phone does have relatively weak internal specifications. Now, video recording with the device maxes out at 1080p at 30 frames per second with both the front and rear cameras. And later on in the video, I'll show you some samples from that. Now, with this device, we're getting a very beefy internal battery at 5,000 milliamp hours. So that's very impressive. So expect to get very good battery life with the Redmi 8A. Now the software on here is Android 9 Pie, running Xiaomi's MIUI 11. So I actually have Nova Launcher installed onto the device right now. So with Nova Launcher, you get some cool features such as an app drawer. That's a necessity for me. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any setting within MIUI to add an app drawer. Maybe I'm completely missing that because MIUI is a bit confusing. But I just went ahead and installed Nova Launcher instead for a more familiar Android experience. And it also looks a lot more like stock Android, which is another reason why I like Nova Launcher. But MIUI is a very thick skin. For example, when you pull down the shade, you can see this looks completely different from what you'd be used to with Android 9 Pie. Another thing too is that when you go into the settings, it's completely reorganized. We have some different types of animations too, which you typically wouldn't find with stock Android. And I have no idea when this phone is going to be getting Android 10, if ever. But the good news though is that I recently did a software update and I was able to update to the March 1st, 2020 security patch. So I do have one of the latest security patches installed onto this device, which is certainly a really excellent thing. So I'm not aware personally of when, if ever, the phone will be getting Android 10, but let's hope it happens, and let's hope it happens soon. Now here's how things look with the default MIUI launcher, and you can see that it's a lot different from how the Nova launcher looks. So it's more of an iOS type of experience here. And one of the things I noticed with MIUI is that they have a lot of first-party apps pre-installed. Like there's a special MIUI browser, there's a MIUI gallery, there's a MIUI security app, there's a whole themes app. There's also a bunch of different tools here as well. Now that's great that they do have this stuff pre-installed, and I'm sure that many people can find those apps to be useful, but I already have other apps personally that I like to use for those various services. So instead of getting used to Xiaomi's apps, I just go ahead and install my own apps. I'm sure they're not bad though, so if you do want to use these apps, then they are there for you to use. But now that we've gone over some of the major specifications with the device, let's talk a bit more about the hardware. So this display does look good. It's very bright. In fact, it's a lot brighter than the display on the Nokia 2.3. So I do appreciate that. And we get a pretty good screen to body ratio here as well. Of course, we do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel here with the Redmi logo, but otherwise it's a pretty appealing looking, nice looking phone. I'm also a big fan of this blue color, so that's really sharp, but you can see it's really just one big piece of plastic that goes over the back and sides of the device. Now on the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have the power button and volume button. Now the phone itself does feel really solid, by the way, so if you are curious, it's very well built. Now on the top of the phone, we have just the noise canceling microphone, and then on the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, we have the microphone, we have a USB-C port for charging and data transfer, so I'm really happy to see that this phone does have USB-C, despite it being a more inexpensive device. And then we have the speaker. And then on the back of the phone, like I mentioned before, just a single camera module, despite this phone having portrait mode. And then we have the Redmi branding here, a flash, and that's about it. So I really would have liked to see this phone have a fingerprint sensor. To be honest, if it did have a fingerprint sensor, I would probably like this device way more, and it really would have made a big difference. So here's the box that the phone does come in. You can see it's available in 3 different colors. You can get it in kind of a charcoal black, blue, as you can see with this device. And then we also have kind of a cool sunset red color too. So I think all 3 colors there look pretty sweet. And that's about it on the box. So we'll open this up and I'll show you what all comes included inside. So we have this packet here, and in the packet we have a SIM card removal tool. We also have 2 booklets. So we have a warranty card and we have a Redmi 8A user guide. Then digging deeper into here, we do have a European wall adapter. Now I don't really care that they have this included because I have so many wall adapters as it is, so it's not really a problem. We also have a USB-C cable here for charging and data transfer. So nice to see that that is included here as well. And that is everything included in the box. Now, like I said, using Cricket Wireless with this phone has been a breeze so far. You literally just pop in the SIM and you're good to go. So I appreciate that. Hello? 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 So as you can see here, calls work fine. That's not a problem, which is fantastic. And that's at least with Cricket Wireless. You know, I haven't tried every carrier on this phone, but Cricket works fine. I'm now going to send a text over to my iPhone 11, so we'll try that out right now. And that was really quick. Now, Instagram runs well on the device. In fact, very smooth performance here, so that's really good. Pinch to zoom is very smooth, so that's great as well. And then if you want to go to your stories, that's very smooth too, so no issues there. And then you can swipe over, and then you can record videos. So I'm recording a video here with the Redmi 8A. videos, so I'm recording a video here with the Redmi 8A. So very loud audio there, definitely very impressive. This device has good speakers. It also has a great microphone too, so that's all fantastic. Now overall, I've been very pleased with the photo and video quality from this device. You know, it's able to take great looking pictures, and I'm certainly a big fan of the quality here. So especially for a phone in this price range, I think it does a very good job. It's certainly not the best camera ever out there, but it will get the job done. So if you're on vacation and you want to preserve memories and you're worried about how the pictures are going to look, I think you're going to look plenty fine. That's not going to be an issue. And again, what's really great too with this phone is that you are able to take portrait mode photos. So those look really great as well. So despite this phone not being very expensive, not being too fancy, you do at least have the ability to take good looking photos and videos with it. So I am very pleased with that. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the Redmi 8A. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a test video with the Xiaomi Redmi 8A. Let me know what you think of the quality from the device. And it has very fast autofocus in video mode, which is excellent to see. So great job, Xiaomi. But yeah, let me know what you think of the microphone quality as well from the device. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here with a front-facing video sample from the Xiaomi Redmi 8A. Let me know what you think of the quality from the device. Now we're in the shade. So in conclusion, is the Xiaomi Redmi 8A worth it? Well, I think this phone has some things going for it, and it also has some things that are still to be desired. For example, I wish the phone had Android 10. Why does it not have that? I wish the phone had a fingerprint sensor on the back. Those are pretty cheap to include, I'm pretty sure, so they should have included it. I'm not a huge fan, as you can see clearly, because I had to install a different launcher. I'm not a huge fan of MIUI. I'm kind of tired of learning about how to use different skins on Android devices. I don't mind Samsung's skin, but I feel like the skin on this device is kind of geared more towards other countries, maybe not so much a US audience. And I understand too that I have an international audience that watches these videos. So maybe in your local region, MIUI is better tailored towards the needs of those customers. But I know that in the US at least, I think if you're not Samsung, then you should just go with stock Android. So I would like to see the Redmi 8A have Android 1 instead. I think that would have been really nice, but unfortunately it doesn't. It has MIUI. Also, I'm not too crazy about only 2 gigs of RAM on this phone. I would have liked to see 3 gigs of RAM. And the Snapdragon 439 is not too great, but for the price, that is acceptable at least. Now, as far as things that I do like about the phone, I like that it has a very beefy, large battery at 5,000 milliamp hours. I appreciate that the cameras on this phone are really good and take decent pictures. I also like the large display on here, and I like that it's very bright and clear. I'm also a fan of this phone having USB-C. That's a great thing to see on here too. So I think the Redmi 8A is a better choice than the Nokia 2.3. But I think that there are also a lot of other phones in this price range, and things are very competitive. So if you are looking for a pretty standard feature, such as having a fingerprint sensor, then you can probably find other phones in this price range, especially devices like the Umidigi A3X. You know, that has a fingerprint sensor, and it's in the same price range. So you do have a lot of other options. Thankfully, I feature many of those other options here on the channel. So just kind of browse around and check out the other phones that I've covered very recently and even further into the past. But I hope you enjoyed this video about the Xiaomi Redmi 8A. If you want to check it out, take a look at the link in the video description. But give this video a thumbs up, sub to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.